It's my immense pleasure to introduce our today's guest, Dr. Mahesh Karandikar sir. Sir is MSNCH consultant neurosurgeon, super specialist in brain and spine surgeries. He is a member of many medical organizations at national and international level, like Neurological Society of India, Ballstock Organization, North American Spine Society, European Epilepsy Society, Asian Congress of Neurological Surgeons, and multiple sclerosis society, and many more. His research work has been published in various medical research journals, and he has been a member of editorial board of Neurology India. He has actively participated in many national and international medical conferences by presenting his work and also worked as a jury at many scientific sessions. He was invited to address the World Conference at Sicily in Italy in September 2023 spine surgery in Marathi for educating non-medical personnel on the subject. This book has won several awards and has been accepted by the government of Maharashtra as a reference book for schools and colleges. This book is accepted by the Library of University of Heidelberg, Germany, one of the most reputed libraries in the world. He is from India as well and has been a faculty for very first executive course in India on conflict resolutions. He is a group for patients with epilepsy for the upliftment of those patients. He is a founder member of Basic Life Support Training Center for training individuals in resuscitation skills. He has started a yoga therapy center as a part of multidisciplinary approach care and cure program at the Karandikar Hospital and Neurosciences Research Center at Nashik. He has been awarded the prestigious Man of the Year in Medicine 2008 award by the American Biographic Society. He was honored with the prestigious honorary professorship by the National Indian Medical Association at New Delhi in the presence of many ministers at that time. Considering his contributions in the field of medicine and several fronts benefiting the society, he was felicitated by the prestigious Nashik Ratna Award at the hand of Municipal Commissioner at Nashik in October 2022. So we are very fortunate to have our today's guest, Dr. Mahesh Karandikar sir.
Presenting a blackboard as a token of respect.
The biodata or profile of Karandikar sir, what I thought was this generation needs to have such personalities before them. Otherwise, they will not even believe that in a lifespan, these many things can be achieved. जोपर्यंत एखादी व्यक्ती ऍक्च्युली तुमच्या समोर येत नाही आणि जोपर्यंत म्हणजे नुसता बायोडेटा वाचल्यावरही तुम्हाला फारसं कळणारच नाही. जेव्हा सर बोलायला सुरुवात करतील त्यावेळेला तुमच्या लक्षात येणार आहे की हा जो व्हास्ट एक्सपिरियन्स बोलून दाखवलाय सरांचा सांगितलाय तुम्हाला ते ऍक्च्युली त्यांच्या प्रत्येक शब्दातनं प्रत्येक वाक्यातनं दिसणार. This kind of a very holistic personality I would say. जनरली असं होतं की सायन्स मध्ये शिकणारे मग खूप एव्हिडन्स बेस्ड आणि फक्त सायंटिफिक प्रॅक्टिसेस त्यांचं फील्ड ही इज वर्किंग इन अ व्हेरी सुपर स्पेशालिटी काइंड ऑफ एरिया जिथे खूप निश एरिया असतो. मग न्यूरोसर्जरी सोडून न्यूरोसर्जन दुसरं काहीच द्यायचं नाही असं जनरली मेडिकल फील्डमध्ये होत चाललेलं आहे आता. बट वेन सर इज गोइंग टू स्पीक तो टॉपिक पण त्यांचा इतका डायव्हर्स आणि वेगळा टॉपिक आहे. सो आत्ताच आम्ही जेव्हा बोलत होतो तेव्हा मला असं वाटतं की तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना स्टुडंट्सना आयुर्वेद स्टुडंट्स अँड MBBS स्टुडंट्स ऑल ऑफ यू नीड टू बी एक्सपोज्ड ड्युरिंग युअर फर्स्ट फ्यू इयर्स इटसेल्फ की वी शुड ओपन अप नाउ आवर माइंड्स टू हॅव एव्हिडन्स बेस फॉर जॉईंट प्रॅक्टिसेस.
I am especially thankful to the perseverant efforts by Dr. Padnya, which gave me an opportunity to be here on this platform to talk to you. And I am extremely impressed by the enthusiasm of all of you, which I noticed right from the Rangoli at the entrance. Very thoughtful, dedicated, committed effort for welcoming us and creating an atmosphere like this. See, this effort creating such atmosphere finally makes everybody happy. And the goal of life is nothing but happiness. Why does one keep doing everything in life? Name, funny is for happiness, isn't it? My goal is to be happy. Now, what is the reality? Let us see what the reality about happiness is. United Nations assesses different countries and measures something called as happiness index to see what degree of happiness the population in a particular country has. And sadly, the latest happiness index published this year, 2025, shows that the rank of India is 118, 1.8. India, which gives message to the world, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya, and where are we? We are at rank 118. The world now has realized that instead of measuring the progress of a country in the form of GDP, it is the gross national happiness index which matters these days. Everybody has started realizing, and therefore the United Nations has declared 20th of March as International Day of Happiness celebration. Now, the question is, friends, when does the journey begin? Through UNICEF, the first 1000 days initiative has been started, which means that the nutrition, healthcare and stimulation during first 1000 days means 9 months of pregnancy, that is 270 days, and first 2 years of life. These 1000 days decide the brain development, physical growth and a strong foundation for making of a personality. So the rewiring in the neural circuit begins much before the child is born. And if the personality is aptly created, then the perspective to look at the world changes, and that probably makes everybody happy. With this understanding in mind, let us start with basic questions. Can neural network be programmed before birth? We are all future scientists, all of you are doctors, so our thinking has to be very scientific, the frame of reference has to be scientific. So then what is the answer to this question? And does neural wiring start before birth? Friends, the answer is yes. The modern neurosciences is gradually evolving to underline this fact, which probably ancient India knew when they declared Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramaya. The basic functioning of neural networking in human brain is through electrophysiology. As we know, our brain has two hemispheres, right and left. Each hemisphere has got a frontal lobe, which is the seat of intelligence, parietal lobe, which is the seat of coordination, temporal lobe, which is the seat of memory, occipital lobe, which is the seat of visual apparatus, and cerebellum, which is the seat of balance. Now, any neural circuit consists of a series of sequentially placed neurons which keep stimulating one another in a sequence. One neuron fires that ignites the synapse, neurotransmitters are released, the next neuron is stimulated and the impulse goes ahead. Now, human brain has about 86 billion neurons. Earlier the concept was between 90 to 100, but now with AI and so many new things, the current figure is 86 billion and the synapses are 100 trillion. Such a complex network, such complex machinery human brain has. Now, equally true is the fact that the way human brain functions is very mysterious, in stark contrast to the functioning of all other body organs. We have learned the anatomy physiology of various organs in the body. We know that the structure of eye is similar in all of us. So a particular image, all of us will see exactly the same because the structure of eye is same. Red color will be seen as red, yellow will be seen as yellow. The structure of ear is exactly similar. So all of us will hear a particular song in the same pitch, same amplitude, same frequency, same vibrations. But what about brain? The structure of brain is exactly similar if you dissect the brain. But everybody's brain functions in an entirely different way. That's why we say Vyakti Titya Prakriti, isn't it? So many personalities are made. Then how does this happen? How does this must be happening? There is a big research done by Professor Wilder Penfield. He demarcated different areas in the brain which are called as Penfield's area, and he numbered various areas in the brain. For example, area number 44 is Broca's area, which deals with motor speech. All of you know all those areas. But the question worth $1 million comes as to what is mind and where is mind situated in the brain. Can you look at mind in the brain? There is a very famous, prestigious default lecture series which is organized in the University of Edinburgh, and a landmark lecture way back in 1937-38 was given by Professor Sir Charles Sherrington on this issue as to where mind could be, and his thoughts are fantastic. He has written a book on man on his nature, as to how the nature of every individual is different. How the same individual shows different natures. When you are angry with somebody, you would behave in a different way. When your teacher asks you something, you will respond in a different way. When your colleague teases you, you will respond jovially, and so on and so forth. So how does this operate? How does thought originate? Does it come from within the brain or from somewhere outside? See, fundamentally, as we just spoke about neuronal circuits, one neuron is ignited, it starts stimulating the synapse, the second neuron is ignited, the third, fourth, and so on and so forth. But the question is, what is the stimulus for ignition of the first neuron in the chain? From where does the stimulus come? Does it come from somewhere outside the brain? Then what is universal consciousness? What is individual consciousness? Is it all linked? Can we really connect various minds? Are there any concepts like what is described in Indian philosophy as soul? Friends, Keynote describes this step by step. I think all of it talks about mind behind mind, eye behind eye, ear behind ear, and that makes you think much beyond the anatomy and physiology which you have learned. This is a big topic. I would, in a 1 hour lecture, touch various topics so that you can study and read later on, depending on your interest. We know that large number of illnesses called idiopathic medical disorders don't have an answer. Greek idios means one's own and pathos is suffering. So these are the diseases which are just left without establishing etiological basis of those diseases. These are the few which I have mentioned. Now, on the same lines, we should think about the connectivity. Can the two minds be connected? Can a communication between two minds be established without any language? This question is addressed to by various neuromechanical and quantum mechanical phenomena. See, many times we find it hard to believe about something which is not seen, or something which is not heard, or something which is not printed in our textbooks. But friends, just a few years ago or a few decades ago, if somebody tells you that by standing in the middle of the ground, one can talk to anybody sitting in any country across the globe using the mobile phone, one would not have believed when you were in childhood, because in those days the telephone used to have wire. The new developments now has made it practical. So there are many things probably which are yet to be discovered or rediscovered, but they do exist. When I was thinking about this subject of fetal-maternal communication, I came across a Sanskrit treatise called Garbhopanishad, which in detail describes so many things about development of the fetus in the womb, and many things mentioned in Garbhopanishad are way beyond the boundaries and framework or frame of reference of modern medicine, which gradually is evolving. There are large number of congenital abnormalities as we have listed in this. Do they have genetic basis? Do they have epigenetic basis? All of us now know that it is the blend of genetic composition and epigenetic environment which leads to the final result. Based on this, now a new specialty is being developed called as eugenics. Everybody wants intelligent, smart, handsome, beautiful looking child. So can the genes be modulated using genetic engineering to create an offspring by selecting specific good qualities? That's the research. But friends, the ancient Indian wisdom has many examples that the fetus in the womb used to have direct feto-maternal and feto-paternal communication system. To give you some examples, there is a story of Ashtavakra Muni. How many of you have heard the name Ashtavakra Rishi? Raise your hands. Yes, many of you. So Ashta means 8, Vakra means curved. This child was curved by birth at 8 different places, but he was highly philosophical, highly knowledgeable, highly spiritual soul before his birth, because through previous birth the knowledge achieved was tremendous. His mother Sujata was daughter of Rishi Aruni. So in Rishi Aruni's ashram, when Sujata had Ashtavakra in her womb, she was pregnant, the husband Kabod was chanting some shloka, and Rishi Ashtavakra in the womb realized some mistakes. So he cried from the womb and tried to correct his father. So Kabod gave him curse that you are yet not born and you are cursing me from there. What do you think? So you would be Ashtavakra. That's how the story goes. See friends, definitely these things make some sense if you think over it. Another classical example which is correlable to the nice rangoli which you have drawn at the entrance. When Abhimanyu entered Chakravyuha, there were 2 ways to enter Chakravyuha. One was a difficult way through which you could have easily been killed, and the other one was a clever way which he heard when Arjuna was telling the way of entering Chakravyuha to Subhadra. That also is an indirect evidence that people in those days knew that feto-maternal and feto-paternal communication could have some basis. Not only in Indian wisdom, but take example of Greek, Koreans and so many other societies in the world which make you feel that they also probably had strongly believed in this. Apollo and Artemis are god and goddesses of Greek people. When they were born as twin children to Leto did so many things like chanting which probably affected positively Apollo and Artemis. And still in the bedroom of pregnant woman, these statues of Leto with Apollo and Artemis are kept. Hypnotomy. The Dutch scientist Wellman has come out with specific protocols to be done during the pregnancy for effective fetal outcome. Mind you, this is several years of centuries before the concept of genetic engineering, eugenetics and the blend of genetics and epigenetics came into existence. Korean culture, way back in 14th century, 1392, there is an art called Tiago which was mentioned to communicate with the fetus by the mother and the father. Now our basic problem is our scientific mind don't easily believe in something which cannot be perceived by 5 senses. As we just said, when you see something you tend to believe that those things exist. When you hear something you tend to believe. So we, based on our 5 senses, all our knowledge is based. If some of you have dogs in your house, you realize the dog trainer uses a specific whistle which only the dog is able to hear. You and me cannot hear the sound of the whistle because the frequency of the whistle is 35,000 Hz and human brain cannot hear beyond 20,000 Hz. So we don't hear. But does it mean that the sound doesn't exist? It does exist. The dog is hearing. When the whistle is blown, the dog comes running. The dogs come jumping. So there are certain things which do exist, even though we fail to perceive, because probably our 5 senses have their own limitations, and things do exist beyond the limitations or perception of these 5 senses. Discovery by Heinrich Hertz of these radio waves. These radio waves do exist all over. When you talk on mobile with somebody, those waves do exist. But initially, we didn't know that such waves exist. But does it mean that the waves don't exist? Yes, the waves existed. Same thing about gravity. Newton found the apple falling down and he discovered or rediscovered gravity which already existed. If somebody says before the discovery that I don't believe in gravity and if the person jumps from third or fourth floor of a building, what will happen? He will come down and die because gravity exists even though you and me don't know. Now, based on this, Professor David Baker has got lots of work done. And initially, he launched the concept that maternal malnutrition lead to fetal malnutrition, and fetal malnutrition is responsible for various cardiovascular abnormalities and consequences in adulthood when the roots are in the fetal life. And a separate subdiscipline of medicine was started in 1999 titled Fetal Origin of Diseases in Adulthood. So the fetal origin is now a very well established fact. In 2003, the second World Congress on Fetal Origin of Adult Diseases took place in the UK and it speaks in great detail about fetal programming at an early age, much before the child is born. You can read the proceedings, they are available on Google. What makes us think is how the two plants which come out from the same soil are different. The answer is simple. Guava has different seed, different genes. Mango has different seeds, different genes. But the same mango tree, if you cultivate into different plants, would the fruits be different? What is the reason why the twins born out of one mother are different? Mother is same, twins are different. Obviously, different mothers have different personalities in first baby, second baby, third baby, fourth baby. So if you think of these facts, then you get deeper and deeper down to the dynamic equilibrium between genetics and epigenetics, which forms the foundation for the upcoming branch of eugenetics. Boris Brott is a famous Canadian orchestra person. In one of his interesting television interviews, he said that one of the most admired tune which he composed, he said that it just came to my mind. Somebody dictated those things to his mind, or just came to his mind. And whereas when you trace it back, his mother used to sing those kind of tunes. So probably the fetal samskara came up in his adulthood. The same is the story of the famous piano player Arthur Rubinstein and the famous violin player Yehudi Menuhin. The scientific evidence started gathering as days advanced. This is a 2009 paper. Michael Liverman has done lots of work in the fetus in response to the anxiety of the mother. When the mother is anxious, when the mother smokes, when the mother... So many changes like increase in the catecholamine levels in the blood, or fetal blood. So all these things tell us that the fetus is affected. And as we spoke about the fetal origin of adult diseases, if the fetus is exposed to repeated stressful situations, then that leads to disorders like ADHD, differential lung maturity, anxiety, fear, insomnia in later life. Professor Anthony DeCastro, lot of work has been done and is published in this book titled Infant Behavior and Development. Again, I said in 1 hour talk, I am just going to touch the subjects. We can keep certain question answers, at the end of the lecture. But DeCastro's contribution is also worth reading. The prenatal and neonatal speech has many connections. Landmark work, scientific work published by Professor Henry Trubey. He says that the samskara which occurs in the late fetal life has a lot to do about learning patterns in early childhood, and speech patterns do come from the mother, depending on what mother used to speak, what mother used to listen, what mother used to chant, what mother used to sing during the later half of her pregnancy. Classic works on human development. This landmark publication also talks about the various reflexes development. In fifth week of life, the reflex action. If somebody pats on the pregnant abdomen, then the fetus changes its position. 8-week body languages like likes and dislikes can be picked up by facial expressions which are picked up on sonographies. 4th month, frowning, grimaces are noticed. 5th month is touch sensitivity, and 6th month onwards, the fetus is able to listen to because the ear developed in the 6th month. So, clear-cut perception of maternal heartbeats, maternal sounds are more than convincingly perceived in the 6th month. But the question is, when we just spoke about the Abhimanyu story or Leto story, how could the fetus be hearing before 6 months? 6 months is pretty late. Ear develops at 6 months. Here comes the scientific evidence. Professor Alfred Tomatis, an ENT surgeon, has done a lot of work on this. And he says that the skin of the face modifies itself to create something called as organ of Cortag on the fetal cells, which have acoustic perceptivity. And that is the source of fetal perception of acoustic signals before 6 months of life. Psychoacoustics or conscious listening is a separate art, and there are books on this. Capitalizing on this knowledge, Professor Tomatis has come up with a famous lab in his Cagney Center. He has a beautiful clinic along the French Riviera. And he has established a center which comes out with solutions where the fetal origin of adult diseases cannot be treatable by conventional modern means. For example, what he has done is, there is a very famous story that a child has torticollis. All of you know torticollis is a twisted neck. It's a spasmodic contraction of sternocleidomastoid where we need to do a surgical correction or botulinum, or there are so many treatment strategies. But fetal injury can also lead to torticollis. Interestingly, if one is taken back gradually years after years, what Tomatis did was, he created in his laboratory an egg-shaped room in his clinic. This is filled with coconut oil and fluid which would correspond to amniotic fluid. There are darkness in the room, and depending on the pulse rate, he could either switch on UV light, which relaxes the child, or red light, which stimulates the child, and an exact atmosphere like a womb is created, from where the person is taken to another room with great acoustics, and the recorded voice of his mother, particularly what the mother used to sing during pregnancy, is played. Now the memory stores are ignited and the person is taken back to his fetal life. And there are examples that one person told him that he had injury during his fetal life because the mother underwent amniocentesis and the needle poked his neck. So he did like this and he developed torticollis. So this is a very interesting read, torticollis case is a landmark case. There are many examples which Alfred Tomatis has said, and he concludes that the fetal perception can begin at the early age of even 6 weeks, well before 6 months, and it has to do a lot with the diseases which manifest or which express themselves in the later adulthood. Fetal audition, whether it's a myth or reality, another big work by Chelly and Chonofi, published in 2008, worth reading. They conclude that the Vivaldi music and rock music, the conventional instrumental slow music which calms the fetus versus modern rock music which disturbs the fetus, has a huge influence on feto-maternal circulation through placenta, and that can lead to various personality disorders, anxiety, fear, once the child is born. Therefore, all these things are very important. Speech perception, another landmark paper published in 2003, Journal of Psychological Sciences by Barbara, talks about many things. They're worth reading. I mean, I cannot cover it in a small lecture. We talk about scientific evidence. Now, as the newer and newer subspecialties are developing, like electroglottography, we know glottis, we have studied anatomy of vocal cords. So, there is something called as electroglottography, which depicts the movement of vocal cords in a graphical representation. And there is something much more advanced called non-invasive quasi-glottography, which talks about perceiving the movement of vocal cords of the fetus in the womb. And it has been clearly concluded that there is distinct movement which corresponds to words. Those words are not expressed, but the fetus wants to say something. So it is not only hearing, the fetus wants to respond to what he has heard. When the child cries, he has a lot to say, but unfortunately the motor expression and language is not yet formed. But the fundamental foundation of neuronal circuit already exists. Another landmark publication by Professor Michael from the University of California at San Francisco, another good read. The brain that changes itself. Brain has lots of neuroplasticity, and in the development stage of fetus, you can really rewire the brain for many things, innumerable things. Two things are essential for neuromodulation. One is experience, and the other one is attention. Even in your class, you experience what the teacher has taught you. If you have good attention, then you imbibe the whole knowledge, isn't it? The fetus has ample amount of time because he has nothing else to do in the womb. So he has the highest amount of concentration, highest amount of attention to give. And if all his perceptions are open, then naturally that is the seat for highest degree of learning. And this has been proven beyond doubt by many classical examples which all of us know in past as well as present. Jizabai used to rule when Shivaji was in the womb, because Shahaji Raja was arrested and she was used to look after the whole administration of their territory. So did Shivaji learn at that stage? The mother of Swami Vivekananda, Bhuvaneshwari Devi, a biography worth reading, the way she used to go to Kali temple every single day without fail during pregnancy, could it have affected the personality of Swami Vivekananda, who addressed the Chicago Congress at such an early age? From where did this knowledge come? Can you and me achieve that knowledge at that an early age? Then what was so special in Swami Vivekananda like personalities? Mother of Adi Shankaracharya. If you read the biography of Shankaracharya, then on the banks of the river there was a Shiva temple. And the mother of Adi Shankaracharya during his pregnancy, every single day used to do Abhisheka of Shiva before Shankaracharya was born. So there are a number of histories which make us believe that such things exist. Now, what does the scientific approach say about it? Starless Science Festival is one of the most prestigious scientific congresses in the world. And there was a landmark publication by Dr. Gary Israelian from the Institute of Astrophysics at Tenerife in Spain, way back in 2011 when this festival was organized at the Canary Islands, Spain. Every year the festival is organized in different places. What he said was, he said that every particle in the universe had got a paired particle somewhere. And these paired particles are linked with forces which you and me do not know. If one particle is stimulated as if they are connected by spring, if you stimulate one particle, the other particle also gets stimulated. If one particle vibrates in a particular way, the other particle, even if the other particle is hundreds of kilometers, thousands of kilometers away, will vibrate at the same frequency, same amplitude, same wavelength. And this is the concept of quantum entanglement of particles. Now, nuclear physics is developing, particle physics is developing, so many new particles have been discovered. Again, like I gave an example about gravity. Did those particles not exist at the time of Shivaji? They existed. You and me didn't know about those particles before the development of quantum mechanics. Now, quantum computing is a branch which is coming up. Earlier also quantum mechanics existed. You and me didn't know. Look at this publication, Entangled Minds. Like two particles are connected. Can two minds be connected? If I think something, can exactly same thoughts reach your mind? How this must be operating? Can the particle entanglement be put across in a different way? And this is what the quantum mind theory is. Research on God particles in Sweden has endorsed that finally it is not one mind, two mind, three mind. It is all one mind which has broken into different minds. Ekoham Bahusyam used to be our philosophy. And if we understand this philosophy, then like if I have my mobile phone in my hand, I can connect with any of you. Similarly, if it is a quantum entanglement of all the particles, I can just close my eyes and connect with anybody. And then two people can converse. Initially used to be a telephone with cord. Now it is a cordless mobile phone. After some period of time, if you increase your perceptivity, then it could be a communication without any instrument. Where are the rishis those advanced? Did they know all this? Did they practice? Friends, we need Western endorsement for all our, concepts. We were talking about holistic approach to Ayurveda, homeopathy, which are our ancient Indian sciences. But unless the Western world accepts it, we don't tend to believe it. We are proud if we have any publication in American journal or European journal, isn't it? So look at what the modern science has to say. This is a paper which was published on 10th of May 2018. The Yogi Masters were right. This is the title of the paper by Michael Melnichuk. He has done lots of modern scientific work on yogic wisdom, and he has published his detailed paper how meditation, mind management, and if we project it to fetal maternal communication, if the mind of the fetus is entangled with the mind of the mother, then whatever thoughts the mother has can percolate to the fetus, and that has significant improvement and effects on his personality. We keep questioning about our fundamentals of God, whether the God exists, what is God. There is a beautiful book which you should read titled Codename God, written by Mani Bhumi. He is a Nobel laureate and he is a very celebrated scientist in Los Angeles, and he discovered the examer lasers which are used in ophthalmology. So right in the beginning, he said that this is not a book written by any Tom, Dick and Harry, but this is written by a scientist on God. And this is also worth reading. Mani Bhumi had his schooling in a poor family at the outskirts of Calcutta. He graduated as a topper from IIT Kharagpur, then went to US. He went there with hardly any money with him. And the book starts with the first page concept that he has a massive mansion in Beverly Hills, one of the most elite area in Los Angeles, and he throws a party and a lot of limousines are being rolled out of his gate, and he is sitting and looks at the moon, and he remembers his childhood. Once during his childhood, his father takes him out on a full moon night, and the father is showing him this star, that star, moon. So he says, Father, you had told me that God also exists in the sky. Show me God also, like you showed me moon and other things. So the father said that God exists, but I cannot show you the God. You need to rediscover the God yourself. That is something for which you need to put in efforts. I cannot automatically show you. And then Mani Bhumi realized that I came to US, I have so much money, I did so much scientific work, but did I maintain my promise to my father? He had said, yes, Father, I will discover God. And then he goes on and on. A very detailed account of what God is and what our philosophy teaches us. David Frawley is case, one of the celebrated American scientists whose main area of interest is the works published by Vamadeva Rishi. Vamadeva Rishi has written the fourth mandala of Rigveda. Rigveda has 10 mandala. Fourth mandala is written by Vamadeva Rishi. And he talks in detail about dark matter, white matter, exotic matter, vacuum energy, and so-called many concepts, which are modern concepts. Let us not go into the details of it, but all these things make you think, The idea of a single universe is more than accepted now. And as we develop, the modern science is trying to sort of come up with the fundamentals which probably our ancient Indian wisdom knew. The plasma state. Lot of research is being done with lots of advantages of plasma matter. There are plasma lamps now. Way beyond the usual three states which you and me know, solid, liquid and gaseous. But plasma state is going to be the future for research as well as application. And development in particle physics has come up with so many particles that the whole reality is going to be completely different in years to come. Cell displacement in hippocampus, developing hippocampus is schizophrenia is well known. Similarly, if certain samskara are done by father and the mother, the fetal brain can rewire itself in the womb. Another very good book, Oxford Handbook of Psychoneuroimmunology, worth reading. Another scientific publication on fetal voice recognition, the art of nurturing the unborn child. It says what to say, what not to say by the mother, by the father, by the elderly people in the house for optimizing the rewiring in the fetal brain, which is taking place from 6th week of fetal life. Now, the modern science, New York Times publication, mother sounds are building blocks for baby's brain. Whatever mother does during pregnancy is a building block for the brain. For example, if the mother sings nicely, instrumental music is heard, then there are alpha wave generation in the fetal brain and there is optimized development of the fetal brain, healthy development. If the mother goes to pub and dances and listens to rock music, what happens? Bad influence on the fetus, more than proven. And what we used to do, we used to follow this Garba Samskara, which I was told that they are already being followed in your institute. So this is an attempt which is to rediscover what our ancient wisdom already had discovered. Another good book, Windows to the Womb by David Chamberlain. There is enough evidence suggesting that the newborn are far more aware than has previously thought, experiencing emotions, making attempts to communicate and reason out and remember. What the fetus remembers is carried forward when he is born as a child. What he remembers in his childhood is remembered when he becomes an adult. And if the fetus is properly worked upon, then naturally we can build in a good and healthy generation. And probably ancient India used to practice this, and therefore we used to say, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina, Sarve Santu Niramayana. Our own culture we left behind and we call ourselves to be so-called modern. We are trying to revolutionize, following the American culture, and we are picking up the worst things which they are trying to unlearn. And we call ourselves modern and we forget our own cultural heritage. I had a paper in World Stroke Conference in Seoul and I was at the Incheon airport. In Seoul, basically, every single hotel has a small corner in the hotel at the breakfast hall which talks about Korean culture. As I have said, they are so proud of their culture. The Incheon airport is consecutively the best airport in the world for consecutive 3 or 4 years. And when I was looking for my boarding gate, there was about an hour I reached before. And the person told me that, sir, if you have some time, please visit our cultural center. And there is a huge 6,000 square feet cultural center on Incheon airport. Our new airports are being built now with this perspective in mind. Our new Mumbai airport has got all our depiction of our own culture. But we should be proud of our culture. We should be proud of our own ancient habits, we had something called as 16 samskar, 16 samskar, which we say, isn't it? Which starts right from Garbhadana and up to the last stage, Samavartana. Vivaha is one of the most important samskara which forms the family. Where are we today? The United Nations, in light of broken families all over the world, have now declared 15th of May as International Day of Families to underline the importance of united families. There is a resolution by United Nations. I have given the details. You can read the resolution, those who are interested, which highlight the importance of relationship, love and affection amongst individuals in the family. Because the families are broken, you are deprived of love and affection that badly affects your personality. And marriages, wedding ceremony is the foundation of everything. What our ancient Indian marriages used to be? They used to have very thoughtful Kanya Dana. Kanya Dana. It was a donation. Followed by Pani Grahana. The husband used to accept the donation and says that I will take care of this girl beyond my own, interest. Followed by Laja Home, which is a prayer for the growth and prosperity of both the families. The parents and grandparents and families of the girl as well as families of the boy. So it was a blend of two families, two family trees, and not only one girl and one boy. Saptapadi, all 7 mantras. I don't have time to go into the details, but they are worth studying. Not only the ceremony, but even Gruha Pravesh used to be a samskara with specific message for the girl as well as for the boy as to how to live life. And where are we? What are the modern weddings? This thing is just, wedding these days, destination weddings, throwing off money. People are celebrating weddings in the space, weddings on ships and so on and so forth. There is nothing like samskara. And how do you expect good offsprings? How do you expect good fetal well-being? Even the post-wedding ceremonies like Ashtami Pujan, yearly festivals, we used to do Divasan, isn't it? Which used to make a lot of sense for strength of the family. It used to be a subconscious platform to strengthen family bonds and modulate the behavior for caring each other, nurturing each other. Now are the modern days of gender equality and women empowerment. Everybody wants space of his or her. Just imagine any family member wants a space, wants to stay in a balloon. The balloon goes on expanding. The house is the same. Everybody's balloon is expanding. What will happen? The balloons of everybody would burst and the families would shatter. So there has to be a balance between independence and freedom. Swatantra and Swairachara. Again, a lot to talk about it for development and grooming of the next generation. But it is very apt to say at this point that fetal-maternal communication decides the behavior. And the beginning of samskara occurs much before the child is born in the fetus. Because if everything is optimized, then the balance is achieved in the body. And it is the imbalance between various things in the body which leads to development of abnormalities. Abnormalities of body, abnormalities of the mind, abnormalities of the society, and abnormalities of everything. See, any orchestra of 100 people also needs a concert master which keeps, telling you which way to play the organ. Now, human body has about 15 trillion cells of 200 types and another 15 trillion microbes. What maintains the harmony between them? Who is the concert master here? And if the harmony is not maintained, then there is total disruption which leads to not only development of various diseases, simple diseases, but even cancer. In the beautiful book, Siddharth Mukherjee is an American oncosurgeon which talks about song of the cell. You need to have balance between various organs in the body, balance between various tissues in every organ, balance between every cell within a tissue, and not only that, balance between various intracellular cell organelle. The ribosome should say hello to mitochondria and so on and so forth. Indian philosophy mentions that. There is a beautiful book published by Arvindo Ashram in Pondicherry, Yoga of a Cell, which everybody should learn. And if that level balance is maintained, then what Bhagavad Gita says in second chapter, 48th verse, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, a maintained balance, and this balance at all level, from cellular level to tissue level to organ level to holistic level, can be projected into the scientific substrate of positive emotions, healthy mind, healthy relationship, love, affection, tranquility, peace, harmony, and happiness for everybody. Like we started the talk with the idea that our rank in happiness is 118, and that we need to change. And the beginning has to be in the fetal development, because if we work on the fetal development, a very well born child can be brought up as a good individual, a good person, and the neural networking optimization, the neural rewiring, the optimization of neuroplasticity can make an individual a better individual, and better individuals can make better families. Better families can make better societies. Better societies can make better nations, and better nations can make a better world to live, isn't it? Now, there's so many wars happening, everybody is destroying some other person. But what would happen if we can think about an order of a world-wide war? That everybody is, one country, the whole earth is one nation, and there is one governance for the development of every individual, for the holistic development, physical, mental, emotional, psychological well-being. So this will happen only when you give lots of importance to values, ethics, morals, than your material development. And I think with this message and starting all this right before the birth, before the child is born, at the fetal stage, should be the take-home message. Thank you so much. Thank you.
First and foremost, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to the esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Mahesh Karandikar sir, for delivering such an insightful, well-structured and thought-provoking session on programming the brain even before birth, modern neuroscientific framework for a healthier and better world. Once again, thank you Dr. Mahesh Karandikar sir for gracing us with your presence and sharing your valuable insights with us. We look forward to many more such opportunities in the future, sir. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.